We made it. Technical difficulties. Oh man. Thanks for standing by there.
No problem.
You got the jams going in the back?
Oh, is it? I'll turn it down.
No, that's cool.
Sorry, now do this here. Yep. All right.
Let's get set up here. All right. Well, welcome everyone who's watching or will be watching. I'm Trevor.
And I'm Travis.
We're with MagMod here. And we got Moshe Zusman hanging out with us today, answering some of your questions and just being awesome. So if you have not heard of Moshe,
let me correct you. It's Moshe.
Moshe, sorry.
That's okay. I'm used to it. It's all right.
I think I would know that. So Moshe, he is based in DC, and he is a wedding and fashion and headshot photographer. Is that correct?
Yeah, portraits, birthdays, funerals.
Everything.
Whatever pays the bills, try to do it well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I hear you. A working photographer. I think that's the appropriate description. So Moshe is a decade of experience as a professional photographer with a unique, bold, confident style tailored to an event that he is shooting. He's recognized for innovative use of lighting and color with a distinctly modern edge. He has been featured in numerous publications, including People Magazine and Rangefinder. So he knows what he's doing. That's the point. So welcome, Moshe.
Thank you.
Happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
And yeah, do you want to just kind of give us an overview of what you do? And
well, what are we doing? We're just going to answer some questions. We've got an hour. I guess we should get to work and answer as many questions as we can. But, I've been a photographer for about 10 years. I'll just say a few things about myself because I don't like that as much as some people do. But I've been doing this, actually now it's 11 years by now. I spent a lot of time studying photography under other photographers, and in 2007 launched my own business. So I've been doing this full-time since 2007. And in the beginning, my focus was mostly events and weddings, and over the years it transitioned into expanding my portfolio to food photography, headshots, portraits, a lot of other kinds of events. And slowly I've been scaling weddings down to a good number of 10, 12 a year just to be able to spend more time with my growing family. So now my main focus is portraits, headshots, and some high-end weddings that I get to do every year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That kind of leads us right into the first question, actually, is you just mentioned your family. And one of the people on our community group asked, how do you find the balance of being creative and getting work done? Getting the specific shots needed, so you can actually be creative, get the work done, but also like spend time with your family. Like how do you find that balance?
Let me turn the music down. This will. We're not going to get someone later to say the audio was not great. So how to find the balance between creativity and just regular stressful working days? Is that the question?
Yeah, that, and then how do you balance the family time as well?
Well, to be honest, you got to know how to run a business. Everybody will tell you that. Every good photographer that actually does it for a living will tell you that it's a lot about running a business the right way. What I've done over the years is built myself a business that is very diversified, and I'm able to not rely on one thing that I do. So if I decide in the last couple of years, I decided I want to do a lot less weddings, I don't have less income because I'm very diversified. I'm able to spend more weekends with my family. And that's really how you do it. You just build yourself. I can go into details about it for hours. This is a topic that is a workshop on its own sometimes. Or
Yeah, no, that's true. Very true.
and I don't think we have enough time to go into it, but really to be able to all of a sudden decide, I want to take a day off. Yesterday, I just took a day off to take my wife out, to a spa hangout and have lunch and spend the entire day with her and our baby. I was able to do it because I have enough other work days on the week, and which translates to revenue. Other days that I work that I can allow me to be able to take a day off or a weekend off or 3 weeks off to go travel around the world if I wanted, and that really is the way to do it. Just have a good business that is diversified. Obviously, it goes without saying, charge money for what you do, charge enough money. Gotta learn how to run a business. That really is what it's all about. If you noticed, I haven't mentioned talent or skills even once, because that is something you can learn, you can pick up, and changes over the years. But if
that's good.
If you want to really succeed, have a good business foundation.
That's really good. Yeah, diversify yourself.
Yes, I believe in that.
Cool.
Moshe, when you're talking about weddings in specific, some of the questions coming to us are about maybe what is the most challenging part of the wedding day in your opinion, or maybe in your experience?
Well, the entire day is stressful. Even though I shot over 300 or 400 weddings by now, and events and bar mitzvahs, every wedding is stressful. Especially, I was going to say especially the first one, and especially the last one. But you know what? I can tell you, and I see it with all my friends and people I'm close with. They walk into the bridal suite first thing, and you know what everybody feels? They're feeling, you know what? I don't know what to do. What am I doing? I don't have any inspiration. Where's my creativity? It sparks itself. You just have to get started. The most challenging part of the day is, for me as a main shooter, I have to work with my mental shot list. And when I stick to it, my creativity is a little less, I have less creativity because I'm sticking to what I was taught. This is what you have to do on a wedding day. So what I've done to overcome this is I hire all my associates. They're full-time pros. And that's one of the big sellers that I have when I talk to couples about their wedding photography. And what I managed to do is to make sure that my crew takes all the shots that they need to take, and I don't have to worry about retaking them. So I used to come home and have 4 different versions of a ring shot and 4 different shoe shots and 4 different this. Now I walk into a room and I don't have to deal with it. I give everybody I don't even have to give them their task, but they know what to do. I just go and stay creative.
That's sweet.
That is the way to do it, to surround yourself with professionals. And that's really another business tip.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, the professionals you hire to second or third shoot or assist you actually have a breakdown of what exactly so they in a sense have a shot list where you get to stay creative.
I don't hand them a shot list, but they know what we need to do.
You prep them.
And then I can put on the wide aperture lens and get some candid shots. Or when it comes to time to really be creative and do the group shots and the portraits that I love doing, that's probably my favorite part, is to do the high fashion portraits of couples and their wedding party. The way to stay creative is to not stress about the little things. So I know that my guys are going to take their candid shots, and I can stay focused on the more creative things.
That's awesome.
Here's kind of a loaded question. What is, in light of the creativity thing, what's your go-to shot? Like, I guess it would be kind of like your signature shot.
That's something that changes, A few years ago, I started doing a lot of sexy shots on the bed, the bride, or bride and groom, really almost kind of making out. You can see it on the walls behind me, maybe. That changed. I thought this would be me. This would be me for the next 30 years of my wedding photography, but it changes. So I have to admit, it changes all the time. My goal is to create more intimate shots of brides and grooms together. That's my signature. It's not a specific image, it's a style. And I like intimacy, I like close, I like sexy, I like fashion. I don't.
A mood
I
room.
stay away from traditional.
Yeah.
Is this done on the wedding day itself, or does your region allow you to do an additional shoot?
99% of my work that you'll see on my website and presentations is all same day. If we didn't have enough time, or a couple specifically asked to do a session that's separate, then we'll do it. But my work is mostly represented by the day off, which could be really stressful to get to do certain things, but that's something you can do after a lot of practice, a lot of experience. You manage to do that the day off. It's better, in my opinion, to do it the day off because it's got a feel to it. It's got a look to it.
Yeah. It's got to feel natural.
And it costs less for the couples.
Yeah.
Yeah, truth.
Cool. Talking about wedding receptions in general, I know that's something you are very good at, is reception lighting. Can you kind of give us a clue of what's in your bag for that, and kind of what are your typical lighting setup for that, settings, that type of thing?
Sure. Receptions are typically after sunset, or at least they start before, but they end up at sunset. So your only ambient light is what they'll give you. Sometimes they give you more, sometimes they give you less. You never know what kind of thing you're walking into. Dark ceiling, no ceiling, dark walls, color walls, white walls, bounce, no bounce. I don't like to rely on that. Over the years, I developed this system. I don't want to say I invented it, because actually one of my associates, Noah, he's the one that actually showed it to me. He showed me his version of it. I took it, I tweaked it, I enhanced it with him. Together, we produced this, we created this system called Perfect Venue Lighting. And what's in my gear bag is basically a lot of speed lights. I use Canon speed lights. They're wireless. We throw them in 4 corners of the room. That's pretty much the gist of it. And we wirelessly trigger them. So what we're doing essentially is we're bringing studio lighting into a reception. In your reception, it could be this room here. It can be the largest ballrooms that you've ever seen. Last year actually earlier this year in Nashville, during MG USA, we lit up a room with 700 people in it. It is one of the biggest ballrooms I've ever seen. And
With 4 speed lights.
With 6 speed lights. Yeah, we could have done with 4, but we had the luxury of using more, so why not?
Yeah.
So in my bag, there's a lot of speed lights, tall light stands, 12, 13 foot minimum, speed light clamps that I use. And I have it all here. I can bring it over if you want to see it. And I gel the lights, of course, to match the lighting, to match the ambient lighting in the room, because I don't want to have 2 mixed white balances lighting up my images.
Yeah.
Moshe, when you're doing reception lighting like that, are you also using something on camera? Do you have a...
This is what I have on camera. Thanks to you guys, I don't have to use the Stofen that was annoying and ripping off my gels and things like that. So I think you can see it. This is the MagMod, the grip, and it's perfect because if I don't need to use any modifiers, I just take it off and this stays there permanently now. But this is the gel holder, and I use a 1/4 or 1/2 CTO and what do you call this?
I think that's a diffusion.
That's the Opal
gel.
Frost diffusion gel.
Just a frosted diffuser, obviously. Sorry, I'm brain dead. And I put them together. So basically, if I took the gel off, the diffuser would basically match what the Stofen used to do, with less spill to the side, which is good. And boom, this is my own camera. The speedlight itself is wireless, so that triggers everything else. I used to have pocket wizards on it and all kinds of attachments. Now I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
Is that flash actually adding to the exposure, or is it filling, or is it literally just designed to trigger the other lights?
Normally, when you take photos with just on-camera flash, your on-camera flash is your key light. It's your only light. With the system that I use in receptions, let's say 4 lights in a room, they're rim lights, they're kickers. Okay. This one becomes a fill light at that point. It just fills in the shadows in the face, make sure that they're not dark because the lights are high and they're not necessarily right in front of the person. So this becomes my fill light, and I actually reduce the power on it. It's still in TTL, but I reduce it at least a stop, sometimes even 2 or 3 stops.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, that's neat. How long would you say that took to perfect your lighting setup, and did you have any fears or concerns going into it?
No, it's the second I saw it in action. Me and my friend Noah, we shot a wedding together, and I was using my traditional. I'm talking 6 years ago. I was using just a flash with a diffuser. I wasn't even gelling. I used to get like crappy images and make them black and white, call it whatever. And then I looked at his memory card as I'm calling down in Lightroom. I'm seeing mine next to his because the timestamp is the same. And I'm thinking, this guy got like really good color balance and really good shots, and what's going on there? So the next time we did it, he said, here, try this. And he handed me a Pocket Wizard. And so I didn't have an on-camera flash, but I was using it, and I saw that I'm missing the fill light. Because he's a more of a candid second shooter at that time. So he wasn't concerned with on-camera flash. He just wanted to get the rim lights.
Yeah.
Working with people. And so I noticed that's what's missing from this setup is the fill light, because as a main shooter, I do take close-up on people in groups and people posing on the dance floor and, in speeches. I do need that fill light. So I decided that I'm going to mount the Pocket Wizard at the time. Use Velcro, rubber bands. At some point, the Pocket Wizard Caddy came out, and it was great. So I've been using that to create this, to add this as a fill light, but still being able to trigger all the rim lights. Sorry, I think I lost track of the question.
Oh, we were just talking about the on-camera flash and what.
Okay. Got it. So yeah, that's how it started. Challenges? I remember you asking the challenge. No, there weren't any challenges. It took a good 2 or 3 years to perfect it, to bring it to a point where I was comfortable teaching it. I was showing other people to do it because people started noticing it. I noticed it. I noticed that it helps me showcase my work compared to other photographers. I'm able to show people that the reception lighting is half. Reception photos are half of the wedding day. They, as I always say, they don't need to suck. So with this, you unsuck the photos,
Wedding reception photos that don't suck.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's a good concept.
People want to see who was there. They don't want to see just.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you said, it's half the wedding day, so it's just as important as the other images. Can you expand on color correcting in camera a little more for wedding receptions? I know a lot of people deal with tungsten lit ballrooms,
Sure.
or like getting ready shots with like fluorescent lights. So.
Fluorescence is horrible. I think it should never existed, but it's there. Luckily, your average wedding, I want to say 80–90% of ballrooms, they're lit by tungsten.
Yeah.
Even if they use LEDs these days, they're color balanced for tungsten because people want that warm yellowish light, that romantic warm light in the reception. So we're lucky because fluorescence lighting has a huge variety of color temperature. You never know what it is because it looks the same. But tungsten has its own range of Kelvin temperature. And what I do is if I notice that I'm walking into a room that has it and I need to light it, if the room has ambient light that I want to capture tungsten, I want to make sure that when I'm adding my own light, whether it's this or ProPhoto B2, B1, any kind of lighting I'll bring, flash, strobe, it doesn't matter. These are basically daylight. And I have to balance them. I can't change entire chandelier or gel the entire room to match my one light. So instead, I'm going to gel my light to match the ambient in the room. And that's it. That's really simple. That's how you create a unified white balance in your image. It's really simple. People are very intimidated by it, but it shouldn't be. So really, you just have to.
Yeah, I think what it is the concept is quite a big grasp
through the whole thing, but it's really simple.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, let's move on to some more studio-based questions, if you're cool with that.
Sure.
So we noticed on your website you do a lot of headshots, a lot of portraits.
Yep.
Fashion stuff. is a shoot typically pre-planned? I know you were just talking about like doing it on the same day where you discuss a lot of what's going to happen and you kind of the creativity and so to speak, the moment. But what are your requirements for a solid headshot? Is like you're obviously like light, mood, expression. But what are your qualifications?
I studied headshots from the master, from Peter Hurley.
Okay.
I've seen what he does. I liked it. I've made it my own, just like anything. You look at something, you want to tweak it, you improve it, you make it work for you, for your kind of people, your kind of clientele that you do. And so what I do is I have different setups. It depends on really what kind of shot I want to do. If I want to create a basic lighting more for women, then I have a certain lighting for that, a little more flat, just eliminate a lot of shadow, more complementing light. And for guys, it's a little more contrast between the left and the right side of the face. So the requirements that I don't have a lot of requirements. I have my gear, I have my setup. I just tell people to show up, makeup ready, or use our makeup artist in the studio. And that's it, really. The rest is here. It's done really quick. We have kind of a workflow for that.
Okay.
Last year, I've built a dedicated website just for headshots and portraits, and it's become kind of its own beast.
So what, like how many lights do you typically use for like say a female headshot?
Anywhere between 4 and 5.
Okay, like 2 of those background lights or?
One light to open up the background.
Okay.
And 4 lights to create an even flat light around the face.
Okay.
You can learn a lot from looking at a catch light. Actually, you can learn a lot about light patterns.
Yeah, I noticed on a lot of yours they had kind of like a rectangle kind of top.
Right, and I want to say 99% of people, they like it. Some people don't, so we can touch it up. But for the most part, I really like it, and they like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Moshe, here's a question that was interesting regarding posing, whether it be a wedding day or even your headshot stuff in studio. I think I get a lot of questions of me about like how much posing do you do? Do you direct them a lot? Is it something that they do on their own? Give us a feel as to how interactive you are with your client in regards to posing.
Good question. I'm very interactive. 99%, I would say 100% of my couples are not models. They don't know how to pose. They don't. You'll tell them to go over there, stand over there, and look cool. They're going to stand there and look like 2 people at a mugshot. And so I do pose a lot. I direct a lot. I don't always pose to the last hair in the nose and the tilt, but a lot of times I'll just tell people, I want you to go over there. I want you to do this and that. And I'm going to give them a few tips in advance. The tips that I tell them is don't feel like you have to pose for the camera, but be camera aware. Know that the camera is watching you, so don't get too comfortable with your neck and with your hip. Always stretch and always arch, and depending on the pose I'm trying to get. I do that knowing that when I do a wedding, for example, my crew takes a lot of candid shots. So I tell couples in advance. A lot of couples come in saying we don't want to pose, we want to keep it natural. And I show them before, natural, and after, with natural and without, and they change their mind pretty quickly because they know that natural doesn't look is not guaranteed to look amazing. But I show them how many candids my crew takes. Half of the photos they're going to get from me are going to be from my associates. They're going to be purely candid. So they're eventually getting a lot of each. But my work personally, 80% of it is, I'm talking portraits. I still take candidates as they're getting ready for the pose, as they're working. A lot of times I like to just let it flow. I'll tell them to do one thing, and I'm just going to tell them, you have 2 minutes to ignore me completely. And whatever they're going to do, I'm going to capture it. And with the tip I gave them in the beginning, be camera aware. I know they're not going to spend those 2 minutes picking their nose. They're going to try and be cute with each other. And a lot of time that works. I've started doing that recently, and it works really great. Just tell couples to be camera aware and give them time to do their own thing in the environment that you think works best. So if you see a pretty nice bench, you don't have to go and literally clamp their dress and all that stuff. You just tell the tree, I want you to go there, face each other, and dip and kiss, but then let them be. Because if you get the lighting and the background to look amazing, turn that one shot you had in mind into 5 different shots that look different and still in the same great environment.
Yeah,
Neat.
that's good. And that translates into the studio as well with.
Studio as well, yeah. You know, I do a lot of things in the studio, not just headshots. Just a few weeks ago, I had a fencing master come here, and he came with his own ideas, and I had my ideas. And in between that, we got 30 more ideas. Just because I told him one thing to do, and then he said, "Watch this." And in between what I did and what he wanted to do, there's so many shots in between. And so I feel like it's only the way I want it to be, or I want to make sure that couples and anybody who comes in front of my camera knows that I do have input. I want to mix my input and their ideas together.
Yeah, that's where creativity is.
My ideas and their input.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Moshe, you mentioned on a couple of occasions a question that came in for clarification regarding the fact that you have a lot of assistants and it sounds like a lot of photos to throw into the mix to give your couples. What do you end up having on a given wedding day in terms of the number of images, and then how many do you typically deliver?
It's kind of a mixed answer. So I end up taking roughly 1,500 as a main shooter. I still have that reflex in me to just shoot a lot more than I should. I end up keeping maybe 300 to 400 of those. From my associates, I usually give them, on a small wedding, I'll have 1 more shooter with me. On a larger wedding, I'll have 2 shooters with me. When I say large wedding, I mean 200 to 400 people.
Okay.
I will specifically tell them, give me good shots. I don't give them any number. Sometimes if I feel like they're in a spraying mode, I'm going to tell them, I don't want more than 150 shots from you. So what they do is they shoot, but they also call in camera. Call down. So eventually, I don't care how many they shoot, but I get to give couples anywhere from 400 to 800. If you ask me, it's 400 too much. I would love to give couples 100 images, like an extended blog post. I would love to be able to give couples 100 to 200 images to make it more art. But we're in a society where, unfortunately, for a lot of couples, as much as they hire you for creativity and your artistic view, they're going to want more. They're going to want extra. Do you have more of this and more of that? And for some of them, a lot of time, more is more. And for me, less is more.
Yeah.
So I try to find a balance between variety and unique shots.
Yeah, and I think, and maybe you can expand on this a little bit more, but I think that's done a lot with educating your clients on, you know, your particular vision for a wedding or for a shoot is, you know, this, we create art. And
yeah,
does that make sense?
They definitely, my clients are definitely aware of it. You know, there's a certain style they come here for. We never have clients come here for one thing and totally expecting something different. They kind of know what they're getting into and what they're going to get. So, but I love listening to what they want, what they like. I don't want every wedding to look the same.
Yeah, that's cool. Kind of on that, what images do you find your clients are attracted to the most from your style? So say maybe take a wedding and take like a portrait shoot. Like, what do you find? Do you find a pattern at all?
You know, just meeting people around the city, wherever I go. People always say, love your wedding photos, love your headshots. When they get to look at specific photos, they like the group shots that I do for weddings, the creative groups, or bride and groom photos. A lot of you know, just making couples look good. That's what people are mainly attracted to.
Yeah.
If you do something good, you can, you know, they'll love it. I don't know what specifically makes it what it is. I know that I like to work with a lot of color and lighting, And people notice it, people recognize it, and that's what makes it fun for me. When people say, I love your lighting, and they're not photographers, for me, that says a lot.
Cool. Because moving on, I guess kind of changing topics a little bit here. As a business owner, you started kind of this conversation out with, you got to know how to run business to be successful, and not just photography, but I think with anything, if you're going to own your own business. What are the top 3 financial mistakes photographers make? Have you seen that, like when they start out, or just in general?
I smile, but it's not a good. They start by not charging enough. That's the first mistake. The second mistake is they continue not charging enough. And the third financial mistake is that they're actually not investing enough in their business.
That's good.
I started going to WPPI years ago. It was the best investment. And I talked to people who've been shooting weddings for 3 to 5 years, and they still have never went. It's not, it's not a gathering. It is a spring break, but it's very educational. It's a must-do. I compare it to a fashion designer who doesn't go to Fashion Week.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So those are mistakes. Not investing enough, not charging enough.
Moshe, are you referring to continuing education? Is that what you're talking about in regards to WPPI?
Yeah, continuing education, even just investments in your business itself. For example, websites. People have, sometimes they don't. I know people that have crappy websites. They say I have a crappy website, but well, why aren't you making the time? They're not, to me, make time to improve something is investment. They're not making those investments. And sometimes it's the $20 a month that it costs them to get that website they want. Sometimes it's just being lazy. Yeah. So investing. I'm not saying buy the gear that'll make you a better photographer. That's not the kind of investments I'm talking about. But if you want to get into something and you think this is the gear I need, this is the gear that it requires, then make that investment. If this is your business and you decided that you're going to become a fashion photographer, then you know what? Maybe you need to invest in that specific camera or specific lens, because that's what it takes to create a certain look sometimes. But again, there's so many things to discuss about this. The two big mistakes, really the one mistake everybody makes is not charging. And it backfires at the entire industry.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Would you say along that lines, in terms of finding your price and what you should be charging, do you think that's dynamic in every market or for each photographer, or do you think there's a little bit of a kind of a set bar?
Every market is different. Every profession is different. I think specifically for photographers, it's a very unknown area because a lot of photographers start by working from home, so they think they have zero expenses. They start with a camera they already have, so they think there was no investment. And they edit their own photos, so they don't realize that their time is worth money. Right. So they charge, and they think what I'm charging is what I'm taking home. They don't factor paying taxes into it. And so I think that photographers in general, they need to really look at it as a business. And I may have lost track of your question because I'm still thinking about that topic.
No, that's on topic still.
Okay. It's an oversaturated market as well. Everybody can tell you, everybody's a photographer now. And I get that wherever I go. One time someone asked me, what do you do? And I said, I'm a photographer. And they said, yeah, but what do you do?
That's funny.
I'm a photographer, yeah. So,
I still feel like to some degree my friends don't think that I have a real job. I shoot weddings, I go to parties for a living,
It's a hobby with a fancy camera. It's okay.
Yeah.
Let them think it.
Hey, so Moshe, you're talking about a common mistake of other photographers. One of the questions that came in was, what is a big mistake that you maybe identified you made, and then maybe how you corrected it?
That takes a lot of self-reflecting. Mistakes I've made, I've definitely over-invested in things I didn't need in the beginning. That's not really, I mean, this kind of question almost implies point out to something you did that's really not good. You know, we all make mistakes. I think one of the things I still have closets full of gear that I never needed. But that's a mistake. It's a big mistake. It was a lot of thousands of dollars that went into buying the wrong product because someone said, without this, you can't get it. Can't get the shot. And you buy this and you buy that. You have closets full of collapsible things that nobody needs. But, you know, I'm happy to say I don't think I made any major mistakes. You know, I'm doing well. I'm happy about it. I analyze my business all the time. I look at my QuickBooks and my reports almost on a daily basis, seeing where money comes in, where money goes, where can I make it better. Always analyzing yourself and what you do, just like you analyze your website and improving. That's part of
proactive. That's good. Yeah, you have to analyze. I think it's in order to be successful. You have to know those things. You have to stay proactive about it.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's cool. Can you touch on another question that came in? Can you touch on some of your workflows and things you put in place to improve your efficiency? And that's kind of slight.
I mean, what are we talking about specifically? Since I do so many things, there's different workflows. Are we talking about weddings? Are we talking about portraits? Are we talking about engagement sessions? It's, you know.
I mean, I'm talking the back end stuff. I think the business related side of things, because I think that's, you know, like people love the photography aspect of photography, but in order to be successful, you do have to know the business part of it. And I think people.
That's right. Well, you know, get yourself to a point where nothing stops you from going. So, for example, you know, we have a client inquire from a website who pretty much book the shot, get a deposit, go execute the shot. Workflow for post-production, you got to have that in place. Get your tools ready, whether it's getting the computer to support the amount of work you need, the storage. It's a kind of very complex question and answer, but every photographer needs to think, I have a job tomorrow. Am I ready for it? My battery's charged. That's workflow. Once I execute the job, I need to put the memory card and start editing. Is there any delays? Do I need to do it? Sometimes managing your schedule, that's one of the most important things, if you ask me, is managing your schedule and time for that post-production, for example. I have a studio manager, Allison, who handles all my schedule, makes sure that I can sometimes just walk in and grab a camera and shoot, not have to worry about other things. But I didn't start with that. I started by doing everything myself.
Yeah.
So, you know, depending on what you do, really workflow is the most important thing. From before and during and after. Your shot list is workflow. You're getting ready for the job and packing the gear, that's workflow. You need to know what you're going to need to execute the job. You need to know what you're going to need to finish the job. And one of the things I used to do in the past is never really close the job. I don't want to say finish the job because I shoot it and I deliver, but never really finish it in the sense that make sure that all the images were delivered, all the prints were printed and sent, the invoice was paid. The client had one little request and you left it there on the table and they sent you the invitation to be photographed and you leave it there for a week. Just make sure you wrap up the job and move to the next one. Kind of have a checklist, the job is finished.
That's good. Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah, very good.
you said that you have people that assist you, whether it would be a studio manager or people on a wedding day. What is kind of some thoughts that you can give our listeners about hiring someone like that? Like, what's your process? Is it someone that you're close with, or do you put out a Craigslist ad? What's been your experience?
There's a thing that my friend uses, a virtual assistant. So if most of what you need does not require a person to be there with you, get yourself a virtual assistant. A lot of times, I say don't hire an assistant unless you have to. Because if you have a space, like a studio, then maybe you do need it. I only started having an assistant a couple of years ago. Before that, I was doing everything myself. I still do a lot of it on my own, but what you do before you actually hire an assistant, that's really way there when you have a space, is start outsourcing. That is sort of help. It is help. Outsource your editing. I use a person that does all my post-production. I outsource my Photoshop to a person. I outsource bookkeeping. I have a bookkeeper that does everything for me. So that my goal is to hold a camera, not a mouse.
Huh.
And that really is what every photographer needs to think. Or do I want to do a photography, or do I want to do post-production? If you enjoy Photoshop, that's good for you. Or if you want to enjoy post-production. I personally, I like playing with a few images, but I don't want to be going through 3,000 wedding photos or 800 engagement raw file. I want to be able to deliver it to the client. I want to be able to go shoot the next shoot and not have to worry about my computer.
Yeah.
So really that is kind of like, in the grand scheme of things, that's where you want to be, in my opinion, as a photographer. You want to hold a camera, not a mouse.
That's a great quote. I made a note of that. I thought that's funny. I never heard it before, but it's so true. It is.
That's what I've been feeling for the last 5-6 years. I really enjoy photography, and I really enjoy spending time with my family. So I don't enjoy holding a mouse. And so really, that's what you want to do. You want to make sure, how do I get to it? If editing takes half of my, I always say that for an hour of shooting, you have an hour of editing. So if a wedding is 10 hours, you're going to have 10 hours of post-production. And if you do an engagement session, you get 2 hours of post-production. And if I shoot all day portraits in the studio, I just want someone to handle all that stuff for me. Deliver, all the way to delivering to a client. So outsourcing your post-production is the biggest chunk of the time.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and that goes back to workflow. It's part of the workflow.
It is part of my workflow.
That's cool.
Just to give you a little idea of it, every shot I take on this camera is tethered to the computer I'm talking to you guys on now. It's a dedicated computer that is my tethering station. And every photo I take is automatically dropped into the Dropbox. So even if I took many, many photos here today and I left, if I needed to, my studio manager has a full access to this computer, to the Dropbox. Remotely, she can, I shoot raw, so everybody knows. You highlight, client picks photos, and you mark them with a 5-star or red label in my case. She knows already what the client picked. She can take it from there. She can apply the presets we want to if we need to, send it for post-production, deliver it to the client. I never have to go back and fiddle with those files.
That's awesome.
That just gives me more time to do what I want.
Yeah, that's really good.
That sounds like extended workflow stuff too, right?
Yeah.
It is. But you know what? It's what every photographer develops their workflow over the years. That's something that I've just been doing. It's not that hard. You just have to find what are the technical difficulties in doing that. And if your technical difficulty is having a strong enough computer, then get a computer. If you need a bigger Dropbox, then pay the extra few dollars a month and get a bigger Dropbox. But all those things, those are investments. If you put those tools in place, then the workflow is going to be flowing.
Yeah.
Those are good advices.
I think what, I don't know how many people I speak for here, but I think what a lot of people fear is they don't see the return on those investments. Well, they don't see the immediate picture for it.
You're not going to see a dollar return, but if you look at the amount of time, you have to understand, everybody knows that, not just photographers. Every person will tell you time is money, period. And if you're spending time editing instead of taking a picture, then you think you're saving yourself the cost. I'll give you a numbers example, okay? Let's talk numbers. That'll clarify things.
All right.
You have 10 hours to edit a wedding,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those 10 hours, I could be making roughly $2 to $3 grand. Or let's say I only make $500 doing a headshot. You know how much it costs me to send those 3,000 photos to my editor, who's going to call them down, is going to edit all the let's say 500, 600 images that I want to deliver. He's going to pick 50 of those and Photoshop them and make them blog images and drop them to me. So all I have to do is post. That entire thing cost me $300. That's less than 5% of what I charge to shoot the wedding.
Yeah.
So I can go make money. Because if you shoot a wedding on a Saturday, you're going to dedicate Sunday or Monday to editing. On Sundays and Mondays, I spend time with the family, and Monday I go make more money. So that's the return. You have to see it that way. And I can give you many more examples, but people are always afraid because they're thinking, I have nothing to do on Monday. They pre-dedicate Monday, they block it for editing. That's our post-production day. I talk to friends all the time on the phone. What are you doing? Oh, I have a mountain load of editing to do. Edited in 2 years. I haven't touched a single photo in 2 years. My photos get delivered to clients faster than ever and better than ever because I'm not good at Photoshop either. And so photographers need to think, okay, let's not block money in advance. Let's spend that money instead of thinking you're saving that money for yourself and go make money instead. Now, you're right, you may not have a job lined up for that Monday. Nobody inquired about it, but make yourself available. Apply yourself.
Hold a camera, not a mouse.
Exactly.
Hey, Moshe, we have some fun, quick questions that have come in that lighthearted finish to our talk here.
I love fun.
This is a great one. I think even Trevor and I have kicked this one around together before. If you could photograph anyone from history, who would it be? Who would you want to photograph?
And why?
And why?
I have no idea. That is a very serious question.
I mean, it could be Mickey Mouse, and because it's the happiest place on earth.
Yeah, no. Okay, so I love looking at portraits that Annie Leibovitz took of actors in her studio in New York. Jim Carrey and De Niro and all those amazing portraits. So I've always felt like I would want to photograph one of those people, specifically people like Jim Carrey and De Niro, people that their expressions are everything.
Yeah.
And that is the quickest answer I can give you. Otherwise, I'd have to think and come up with, oh, yes, of course, I want to photograph, But those are I'm not saying I want to become not because they're celebrities, just because I've seen the footage of the video of her doing those, and I've seen the final images, and I think it's an amazing experience.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How about what's your favorite piece of gear in your bag?
MagMod. Are you kidding me?
Nice. Good answer. Good answer.
My favorite piece of gear is coming in a week. It's going to be the new Canon 5DS, but let's pretend I didn't say that. My favorite piece of gear. I really, really love my Kupo speedlight clamps, and I love my Nexto. It's a lifesaver. I dump all the photos to it at the end of every shoot. The Nexto is just amazing. But really, what I do, I'm not joking. I really do love light modifiers. So if I shoot speedlights, this is my new favorite toy. If I use Pro Photo lighting, then I just love modifiers. So I always take them with me everywhere.
That's sweet.
Sweet.
Cool. And last one here. If you could do anything besides photography, what would you be doing?
Love that question.
Horrible question.
Wait, what did
You said horrible question.
it's like a firefighter, or
I would, I don't know what I would do. I really have no idea what I would do. Not to sound all philosophical, but I'm doing what I love. This is the only thing I love doing. I would probably want to be a stay-at-home dad, okay? That's what I want to do.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is a job.
Yeah, that's
It is
an admirable
a
job.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. We want to just give you a few minutes to mention your lighting DVD and what you have going on. So we can end it there. So we'll give you the floor.
You know what we'll do? If you guys want, I know we didn't discuss this in advance, but you guys pick 2 of the people who posted questions, and we're going to send them these as a gift.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
This is a video that I produced with Noah, my friend, all in-house. I know it doesn't look like a George Lucas production because we did it in-house, and we tried to basically just cut all the fluff and give people the best information about how to create your own perfect venue lighting in your next wedding, next reception. So this is a 45-minute video. There's a trailer for it on perfectvenuelighting.com. You can see what it's all about. It talks about the gear. It's good for any camera system because we filmed it specifically with Pocket Wizard to support it. Even though I use the Canon 600s, this video will show you how to create that perfect lighting everywhere. That's all I'm going to say about it because it's pretty self-explanatory. That there's a trailer for it. I'm hoping that people will want to get it. I believe we have a special discount for you guys that we set up. I don't even remember the code. If you guys do, that would be great.
Yeah, we'll have to tweet that out.
Okay, great. So yeah, it's available on perfectvenuelighting.com. You can order it directly from us. You can buy the Vimeo download, or you can order it from B&H.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, this has been very educational and very helpful.
Yeah, it's fun.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Sorry for the technical delays there.
That's okay. That made it better.
Yeah, it's technology. It's like driving through a tunnel with a cell phone.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we appreciate it, man.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.